Hi, this is Lynn.
This is Paul, and we are
Along the Way.
Glad to have you with us again.
Today we're dealing with the ninth reason, top 10, 9 out of the top 10 reasons that churches resist change.
And today we're calling this one scar tissue. And this is where a church has had a previous pastor who tried bringing radical change that backfired. And now the church is scarred and resistant to trying new things. So how is, you're the pastor now of this church, you're inheriting this, how do you bring about healthy, constructive change?
First and foremost, you love your people.
Yes.
And just love on them, help them understand change is still good, even though it didn't work the last time.
That's so important because your change is going to involve bringing new people in. You're probably going to build on new people, but you don't want to disregard and disrespect those that you already have as a foundation. They're hurt. They're not your enemy. They're just hurt and they're scarred.
And they will be your prayer partners.
That's right.
And they will support you, encourage you, and be that backbone you need to keep moving forward in a very difficult situation. Our second church, we had a situation where the pastor split the church, and helping the church come through that was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Our fourth church, I think it was our fourth church. No, it's our fifth church. We had a situation where the pastor fell into sin, and helping them and the community heal from that.
Yeah, redeveloping a testimony, a good testimony in the community as well as in the church body. That's all part of your shepherding responsibility. So it begins there, but it doesn't end there. You've got a healing ministry for the people that you inherit in that situation.
Right.
If you watch the previous video on senioritis, the way to grow a church under scar tissue is the same as that with senioritis. It's just a different problem, but same solution. With this one caveat that Lynn was talking about is that because your people are scarred, you need to be very sensitive to that. So minister to them along the way. Don't ever make them feel like they're not part of the change, even if they're resisting it.
And there's some little practical things you can do. Just asking them to pray for this. If your people have email, send out an email. I'm about to witness to this situation, or pray for me. Just little ways to have them engaged in a non-threatening way.
Yes. Because ultimately, if you're going to grow the church, you're going to grow with new people. And likely those who are really scarred aren't going to be the ones actively out there bringing new people in, sharing the gospel, things like that.
And that could turn around, though.
It can turn around. And when it turns around, it's when they see you setting the example, and you're bringing some new people in. They're coming to Christ. New visitors are being welcomed in. They're starting to sense a positive change. More than likely, the scar tissue will soften, and you will see people readily coming on board.
Yeah, they'll be excited.
Yes.
The new growth will excite them.
Yeah.
And they'll want to be a part of it.
They will. Which also means one of the things you can do as change begins to happen in a positive direction, new people come in, you can have those new people who might be willing and quite able, have them share a testimony. Because when you have them share a testimony and they're not scared to death to do it, they're willing to do it, the older folks in the church, those who were there previously, they see what God is doing right up front, and that's very contagious. So, yeah.
And they don't have to be physically old.
No.
Saying, when he says old people, he's talking about the church you inherited, the people who were your
Yes.
parishioners that you inherited,
Yeah.
because that's a different situation.
That's
you know,
right.
It's not because they're seniors.
Yeah.
Not always, you know.
So again, it's building relationships and then including your foundational congregation that you inherited, and in those relationships, including them in, making it very apparent that your church is starting to change. Secondly, as we mentioned the last time, there are evangelistic ministries out there, a lot of them, and you can find them online very quickly. And many of them refer new converts to local churches around the country. So you want your church to be listed with those evangelistic ministries. And just wait and see what God brings you. And then as people do come in through that avenue, build relationships with those new people. So yeah. Also, it's not a catch-all. You're not going to get hundreds of people that way. It is one thing you can do that doesn't take a whole lot of work on your part, but can bear some good fruit. And the last one is, and we mentioned this last time too, and that's the importance of small groups, and especially small groups that meet in homes.
Now this is a little different than in the senioritis video prior, because one of the things that more than likely happened with the previous pastor were small groups, and they backfired. So you have to be very careful in presenting that. We even had a situation where the small group became a gossip fest, and you have to
Squelch that.
yeah. So it's small groups are good, they're healthy, it's acts in work today, but in this situation where they're scarred, sometimes it's a little more difficult.
One of the advantages actually you have with a church that's been scarred that way is that they've got legitimate concerns. So don't just brush off the concerns as if, okay, that doesn't matter, we're going to do it different. Listen to their concerns, talk with them about how you can develop the small group ministry and avoid those past problems. And again, part of what I do in coaching is helping church leadership navigate through things like that. So I'm available to you. We're available to you to
And
coach
to the
you.
leadership. It's not
Right.
just the pastor, it's also the leadership.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
helping them.
Yeah, the early church, they had their issues with small groups, with home groups too. They had issues with bad doctrine. They had issue with bad behavior, all kinds of stuff. The very things that people are scared of and scarred from today. But that didn't stop the early church from completing its mission through small groups that multiplied. It is the way the church multiplied and what God's design for the church. So it's a matter of learning how to do it in a healthy way and addressing the issues of the past that people are very concerned about. So I hope those 3 tips are helpful.
And we will put our contact information in the information below, so you can email us and ask us questions.
Yeah, please do.
But you can also comment in the thing below. Like, subscribe, help with the YouTube demographics or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for that matter, if you have pastored such a church yourself and have kind of gone through the struggle and come out on the other side in a really good way, and you have some tips that you can pass on, share those.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome, and we'd love to hear from you.
This is Lynn.
And this is Paul.
And we'll See you down the road.
We'll see you down there. God bless.
Bye-bye.